Ark Survival Evolved was one of the most genre-defining games of all time, basically reinventing the survival game genre as we know it. It officially launched in 2017 and quickly made a name for itself with its addictive gameplay and fantastic social features that made it one of the most popular multiplayer games in the world despite all of its technical issues. You made your habitat, tamed wild dinosaurs, and even tried to discover more about the world while also keeping yourself alive and surviving against the elements and other players who are looking to take all of that from you by force. Ark Survival Evolved is still one of the most played games on Steam, boasting tens of thousands of players online at any given time. And since Microsoft struck a deal with the developers, it's been getting the Game Pass treatment as well. A while back, it was confirmed that a brand new Ark experience was in development and would come with a star power featuring Vin Diesel as one of the main characters. Diesel is a big fan of the original game and was obviously stoked to be involved with the sequel, but if this casting choice shows anything, it's a massive spike in budget. I mean, Vin Diesel is one of the biggest stars in the world, so if the team could afford him, it's safe to assume that just about every aspect of this game is going to be cranked up as far as it can go. Over the last few months, we've gotten a number of intel drops on Ark 2, and in this video, we're going to compile absolutely everything that's been confirmed or leaked about the upcoming survival game. So let me know if you're stoked for this new survival adventure. Drop a like and let's dive into it. For starter, let's get the obvious out of the way, the platforms. I hate to be the one to tell you, but Ark 2 is not going to launch alongside the PS4 and PS5. As of right now, Ark 2 is set to launch on the Xbox Series X and PC, likely thanks to the partnership between Microsoft and Studio Wildcard. Ark 2 is going to be skipping the Xbox One, which seems like a smart move since the console struggled to run the original game at a consistent frame rate. The higher standards for hardware will allow the developers to go crazy with the visuals and not have to worry about the game running on weak hardware unless you count the Series S, which may cause some hiccups, but we'll have to wait and see for sure. As for the eventual PlayStation release, I think it's inevitable, but we don't have anything official just yet. Ark Survival Evolved was a huge hit on the PS4, and Microsoft seems to consider Ark 2 to be a console launch exclusive, which leaves the door for a PS5 port in the future wide open. This also seems to be in line with what Phil Spencer has been saying about allowing more people to play more games, but also giving Xbox players some extra perks. Ultimately, I think PlayStation players can expect to see Ark 2 hit on the PS5 about a year after the initial launch. Until then, you're going to have to buy an Xbox or get a PC, and from the looks of it, you're going to need a pretty beefy machine in order to run it effectively. Ark Survival Evolved was a very hard game to run, but that also had a lot to do with the somewhat troubled development and outdated game engine. It's likely that Ark 2 is going to run much better overall, but the visuals and early footage look absolutely stunning. So it's still not going to be an easy game to get up and running on your PC. This isn't going to be the kind of game that you can just install on your work laptop and just try to run it without breaking the PC. Studio Wildcard also promised extensive mod support for Ark 2 that will allegedly even support the Xbox version, which is pretty wild. Mods on console games are still kind of a fantasy, but according to the developers, mods created on PC for Ark 2 can be imported to the Xbox version, which will make this one of the biggest console multiplayer experiences of all time. Hopefully this sets the standard for other developers and we start to get mod support on other console games, because there's no reason such an awesome feature would have to be restricted to PC. Speaking of early footage, everything we've seen about Ark 2 so far looks much larger than before. The game is being built on the Unreal Engine 5 and looks absolutely incredible. Obviously the trailers aren't going to be the perfect representation of the final product, but things look pretty amazing so far. Unreal Engine 5 is arguably the most advanced game engine on the market right now, and this should allow Studio Wildcard to fix a lot of the issues that the original game had. Increased resources from Microsoft and an improved engine will make Ark 2 a much more impressive game technically, but also a far smoother and more immersive experience. The previous game's full potential was limited to high-end PCs that could tank through the technical issues, but Ark 2 is going to look and play much better as a baseline on the Xbox and PC. Obviously the best experience will be on high-end PCs, but the console versions should be running a lot better than the last game. While no solid gameplay was shown off in the early trailers, we've got a few leaks and official reports about what's going to change. While Ark 2 is still going to be an open world sandbox survival game, the combat has been overhauled to be more detailed and consistent. Some have even compared early gameplay leaks to Dark Souls, and the developers themselves have said that they're trying to make the combat more like a From Software game, where you can lock onto enemies, dodge, roll, stun, and do all kinds of stuff that you would expect from a modern action RPG. Weapons are going to be melee focused, and the crafting system has been overhauled and expanded upon to allow millions of different possible combinations. Movement has also been overhauled to better fit a gameplay experience where you could freely switch from first to third person in order to traverse the map. Now there are some concerns about first person not being featured in Ark 2, but that's currently just speculation. There are even allegedly going to be a number of parkour mechanics to make things a little bit more immersive and engaging. Your interactions with the world will have an effect on how the world changes over time, small or large. Certain decisions will come into play immediately immediately, but others will take time to build up and show change. As for the story, it seems Ark 2 is going to take place after the final expansion of the first game and be more or less a direct sequel, albeit on a new planet. A lot of people don't follow Ark's story, but there is a lot going on in the background, and it's looking like the sequel is going to be putting the story on a more focused display. You may want to catch up on the first game story before playing Ark 2, but it will stand on its own as much as it can. So I don't think you'll be required to play through the first game and all of its expansions in order to understand Ark 2, but it may be to your benefit. So maybe just look up a YouTube video on the full story to kind of get the idea. Plus, the story content in the first game is super underappreciated, so I'd give it a shot for that reason alone. Why wouldn't you want to learn about the more crazy dinosaur planet? The game is also going to tie into the upcoming animated series starring Vin Diesel, who, like I said, is a massive fan of Ark and is even the official president of Creative Convergence at the development studio Wildcard, so they're certainly using his star power to their advantage. The series is still on schedule to come out before the game, so watching that will likely give you a bit of insight as to where things are going and how we got there in the first place. So when is this game coming out? Like many other games over the last few years, Ark 2 is pushed back a handful of times due to the pandemic, putting a limit on how much work could actually be done in a reasonable amount of time. While Microsoft first announced the game back in 2020 with a 2022 release window, it has since been moved back to 2023, and while there's no solid release date just yet, I think we can assume they're going to be sticking with it. Given the fact that we're almost done with 2022, but we still don't have a release date for Ark 2, I'm assuming they're going to shoot for a late year release, possibly around the holiday season. Then again, they may be trying to do a summer release so everyone can get in on the fun while they're vacationing, but summer multiplayer games have a bad tendency to flop because that's also when a lot of people are traveling or doing something other than playing video games. The most likely scenario though is they're going to release the game around the same time that the first Ark game launched, which was in June. Now it's been confirmed that Ark 2 is going to launch on Xbox Game Pass on both console and PC, so this should maximize the number of people on the servers on day one. Overall, Ark 2 is shaping up to be one of the most expansive survival games of all time, but I do have my concerns. Given the state of modern game development, it's entirely possible that Ark 2 launches with a ton of missing content or bugs. If the launch of Modern Warfare 2 and Overwatch 2 have showed us anything, it's that even the highest profile games can still launch completely busted or underwhelming, so we shouldn't get too comfortable. Given how far back that Ark 2 has been delayed, I'm confident in saying that the game will be relatively smooth at launch with plenty of content, but then again, this is Studio Wildcard that we're talking about, and delays have failed us on that front before, so I really don't know what to believe. If Microsoft wants people to abandon the previous Ark game and jump to the sequel, they're gonna need a very smooth launch that captures people's attention immediately. If they put out a busted game with minimal content, it's gonna be a really bad first impression, and in the modern gaming world, that's not really gonna cut it. First impressions are everything today, especially for a multiplayer game, and after gamers have been burned by so many other games on the market, people are not gonna be forgiving of Ark 2 if it doesn't launch smoothly. Hopefully we get some official gameplay videos and a solid release date in the near future, but I'm very confident in the sequel. It sounds like the exact thing I'm looking for in an open world survival game, so hopefully it ends up being awesome, as I'm hoping it will be. But yeah guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, like it, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.